Namaste, everybody. So I'm here to do another reading. This is Twin Flames Undercover, and what am I gonna say? I just thought I'd come on and give a reading. Just with it coming up to Halloween and that, I think the mood has changed. And it's kind of more evident now that we're coming into the winter season. And it's weird because the lockdown has put us all into hibernation, but our natural cycle for hibernation is only starting now, right when we're coming out of lockdown. So I think it's about getting back to the natural cycle of things and getting away from that unnatural hibernation that we've all been under. So I think it's about getting out into the winter and experiencing it. I just had a flash in through my window. That was weird. I think it was a reflection of the windows on the hill at the other side of the valley outside my other window. So so what am I gonna say? So I have a funny thing about altars. I don't do like this strict conventional altar. Like I studied briefly as an art therapist, but I didn't complete my studies. So but a lot of it has stayed with me, you know. So sometimes I would recognize toys as having a kind of spiritual component or value, or so I kind of look at an altar like a kind of a play, like a sandpit almost. So I kind of push the kind of most joyful things up there, or things that I think are most joyful. So, and some people, religious people, then think that I'm being blasphemous by putting a kid's toy on an altar or something, you know. So so for me it's kind of all the same. I think everything has something to offer. So I don't distinguish between denominations. And I once kind of did a piece with a kind of stormtrooper guy, and I put him kind of in the middle of it. So, and it's kind of amazing what you intuitively draw together out of conjured bits of toys and things. And I don't see religion as like the only way to God, inverted commas. So so my altar is a bit of a mixed pot. I just find things that bring me joy, and I kind of bring them together in a way that I think works. More like a painting, less like an altar, kind of. So let me see. Okay, I think these are shuffled enough. So why did I do this time? Okay. So I'm going to do a 9-card spread with masculine. I pulled out 2 there, but I'm going to leave it as is because it's meant to be like that. So I kind of think it's funny. I'm being told to kind of do a kind of man versus machine here, because the steampunk is very kind of machine orientated, and the Wild Tarot deck is more nature. So maybe the maybe the masculine is the steampunk deck this time, and feminine is the Wildwood Tarot. So it's funny feeling in the air. It's like things are coming back together slowly, and they're coming back into a functional place. But I feel like the feminine is still in the dark. And the Sun, Page of Pentacles, King of Swords, King of Wands. So Two of Pentacles. So it's like things are still cooking, but they're not they're not what they should be, or so I just want to bring in the kind of highest messages I can for the collective. And ooh, Nine of Swords popped up there. So just messages like I guess like what are the current obstacles? These three popped out now. The Lovers, the Four of Swords, and the Two of Cups. So oh, there was a song came into my head a while ago, was "This used to be my playground." You know that Madonna song. This used to be my childhood dreams. This used to be the place we ran to whenever I was in need of a friend. So there's a sense of nostalgia in the air. And there's a desperation for a new beginning. I just feel it desperate. I'm sick of nostalgia. I'm sick of shit of nostalgia. The Tower, the Magician, and the Hierophant. Ooh, mysterious. The Tower, the Magician, and the Hierophant. This is like a systematic failure. This used to be my playground. This used to be. Nine of Wands, burden. Knight of Wands. Nine and the Knight. No, still not feeling it. So there's a horrible heavy nostalgia. A horrible heavy nostalgia. And no one knows what to do with it. No one knows how to fix it. No one's willing to break their own conventions in order to perhaps enter new territory that might create the cohesion required to put our realities back to normal. And I think there's a kind of a stunt in status going on. You know, convention status. I just think lots of changes. Lots of changes. What a cliche phrase to hear from a tarot card reader. So, so I'm going to pull 9 cards for the masculine on obstacles. Obstacles. What are thwarting the path? Alright, so there's no cards kind of jumping out spontaneously in my shuffle, so things must be fairly neutral on the home front for the masculine. Seven of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Okie dokie. Goki goki. So this is the Shaman. The Shaman. I was reading an interview with Wim Hof recently with Russell, I want to say Russell Crowe, but Russell Dafola. You know that fella, Russell guy, the comedian. um, but he was saying that the shaman was like a chameleon that changed into whatever facet of society, whatever animal, primitive animal that it needed to become in order to survive the culture it was in, and that it could shift from any mode of consciousness into another. So that's what the feminine is right now, I think. She's got a kind of wise old man archetype too. It's like a wise old man archetype mixed with a kind of primitive, very primitive, what do you want? What's the word? Primitive, amygdala, lizardy kind of, very wise old man archetype. Very like, wise old man archetype is the feminine at the moment, I think. So, and the masculine is coming up as the chariot, and the chariot. So kind of charging ahead here in a carriage ran by machine robots. And so there's a kind of a dichotomy of beliefs here, which is also a union of beliefs. It's like while one is charging ahead, the other is regressing into nature. One is charging ahead and with a force into the outer spheres, and the other one is curling up into a prawn and living like a lizard, kind of very primitive. Like, share, subscribe. So I'm going to turn over these two cards here next. There was two that came out together. So it was the Hawk and the Wanderer, which is the Fool, and the Knight of Swords, Knight of Arrows, and then we have the Ace of Cups for the masculine. That's interesting. Now, it's like the masculine is finally seeing the merit in the ways of the feminine, which are kind of primitive. You know, like the Rainbow Bridge kind of. So he's seeing a value in this. And the arrow, the swords, as well as like, the more protective of the side of the feminine. And that the two of them together are giving him reason to value the feminine, or they understand the connection of the feminine, or understand the value of the feminine. So there's an Ace of Cups here, and I just had a kind of remote viewing of like I was actually in a park today where there was lily pads like this, and water lilies, and there was actually a fountain there as well. And sometimes in the past I'd have remote viewing experiences with my twin, or like I'd go somewhere during the day, and like a venue or a place, and later that night I'd have a dream of the place that I went to from the perspective of my twin. So it's almost like I'd be looking through his eyes at him viewing me in the place. And as if he was there when I was there, so just realizing how connected we all are, basically. And even I felt as well, and many times, that people who knew him, who knew me through him, who saw me, that he would be somehow get the psychic message back or he'd be able to relate psychically through other people who would deliver the message about viewing me in some place, you know. And so this used to happen much more regularly, like it used to happen much more. When I allowed it, I actually just kind of shut down in the last couple of years, and I stopped allowing any of it in, you know, because it was so damaging. Like, but I used to go to, so I would go to a place, and it's almost like there was a person there that he knew that was working out there that saw me, and he'd see me through their eyes, and I'd be seeing him seeing me through their eyes. So I would have dreams like this that would kind of clarify kind of intel that was going on between twins. I hope someone understands what I just said. So 6 of arrows is like sail away. So sailing through uncharted waters and to get to the other side, and there's a moon here, and it feels challenging and treacherous, but very secret, very covert, like something really covert about this, like sneaking in the like sneaking away in the middle of the night, kind of doing it when no one's looking, kind of sneaking away, sailing away. And it's funny, there's a similar card here with the moon card, and that's the feminine. Okay, so hang on, I'm going to read this differently now. So the feminine is being covert, haha, and the feminine is sneaking away because she knows the truth about the union, but she doesn't want to be humiliated by it anymore. So she's being covert, and she's in her boat, and she's, dog, what are you doing? Stop it. Stop it, I said. That's my cat Wolf. So it's actually the feminine that's sneaking away, and she's trying to find hiding places, and she's using the waters and navigation to hide, and she's doing it early hours and late in the evening. These are the times when she's secretly kind of covertly, you know, it's finding a way to, how do I word it? It's like she's going where she'll evolve. And at the moment, that's not in the company of the masculine. So she's going through 2 pillars, and she's just doing it in the way that's most beneficial for her at the moment. And it's like the masculine is totally mirroring this with the moon card, and he's like this robotic lobster, and with a cat and a dog. And he's kind of seems to be doing the same thing. He's taking the darkened path, and he's taking the hidden path, and he's taking the path to truth that's being lit by the moon that will eventually lead to the sun. But at the moment it's murky, and it's strange, and it's uncertain and intimidating. But it's like they're both living in the same environment. It's almost like they both live on the same place. You know, it's like it's on the same land. So, Knight of Bows, and 2 of Wands. So, Knight of Bows, Fox. This is the feminine card. I've had the fox come up for me in the last 2 years so repeatedly, unbelievable. I even bought a fox mat for outside my door. I was seeing foxes everywhere. And apparently they're cherished in Japan, and I never knew that. I never knew they were. But they're known for being sneaky. But I think they're also kind of underrated. They're highly intelligent, and they're also very covert. Like, they find sneaky ways to get places, and but they're cute, like intelligent, you know. So and then this is the Two of Wands. So this is the masculine kind of. So this is the masculine, and he looks really grumpy, grudgy expression on his face, but it's like he's like it's like he's cast in amber. He has this kind of veneer of power around him. And it's like he's on a cliff edge, and he has this pentacle, and he's trying to. It says the Two of Wands, but there's a big pentacle in his hand, and he has this pentacle, and he's like wanting to offer it, but there's like huge mountains behind him and stuff. So like there's a massive obstacle in order to get to a place where he can offer it. There's a kind of sadness with it too. There's a burden. He's very burdened, and you know, he's kind of acknowledging something here as well, which is bittersweet. And then we have the Queen of Arrows as the Swan, and I'm an air sign, so it would link in with me. But and then it talks about the swans are like they made for life, you know. Jesus, that cat. Hey, what are you doing, dog? What are you doing? So if I don't feed him every hour of every minute of every hour of every day, he'll eat the cardboard. So anyway, so the swan they made for life, but there's a sense of a high priestess of her as well, and the Queen of Arrows as well is a real sense of justice in that. And the Hierophant is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is don't you even think about it. Don't even think about it. So the Hierophant here, and he's teaching the children, and he looks like a real congenial fella. And he's not your usual kind of strict authority character. He's much more soft approach, kind of like a storyteller almost. And he doesn't have any regal wear, so he's not that intimidating or formal. And so it's like as the feminine embraces her own grace, the masculine kind of softens his armor, takes off his armor, takes off his coat, sits down, you know. So it's like the more feminine the feminine is becoming, then the more relaxed the masculine can be, if you know what I mean. So he's not warring with the feminine, and they're both trying to be masculine, you know. So it's like there's a kind of homeostasis or harmony starting to occur amongst the twins. 5 of vessels, 5 of cups. 5 of cups. Page of wands. So this is like this is normally a card about sadness and regret, but here all the cups are kind of upright and lit up, and she's like embracing a kind of a witch's dance or a shaman's dance, and and she's kind of childlike too, so it's like celebrating youth and that. And then we have the masculine, which is like a page of wands, and he looks similar in age to the character in this card. But I feel that he's kind of half robot here. He's got a robotic arm. And he's kind of facing downwards. and he's kind of facing downwards, and but he's got a robot arm, so he's like he's been infiltrated by the system, and you know, he's kind of posing. He's not natural like this girl is in the picture. It also could be a reference to children as well. No. We have the Seven of Stones, which is the healing card for the feminine. And then we have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups. Three of Cups. So these are like friends. This is like a concerned woman, and these are two friends that are kind of empathizing with her. And there's a crystal ball on the table. So it's kind of two forms of healing here. It's like this is kind of out in nature, like real deep jungle shamanic stuff, out in the wilds of nature. And this is kind of like the kind of city version of how people heal one another. It's like going for a drink and having a powwow in the pub, or you know, engaging with each other socially engagement is kind of how we heal one another in conventional society, you know, albeit like not always the best way to go about it, you know. So there's I do feel there's more of a coming together of people here as well. That people have gone through enough anguish. People are starting to realize how much anguish they've gone through, so they're starting to soften their reserve and engage with people more compassionately. But this is direct healing one-on-one, which feels more intense and kind of life and death. And this kind of feels bordering on life and death too, but I feel it's less serious, you know, or less, not as deep, let's say. And then Eight of Stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the Eight of Stones is the Eight of Pentacles. So building your feminine is building her reserve. She's building her creations. And there's something here about years ago, how they used to have a kitchen was they'd heat stones and they'd throw the stones into the pot. They'd throw the stones into the fire, and then they'd throw the stones into the pot to heat the water. So that was actually a primitive way of how they cooked. So they'd heat the stones in the fire and then throw the stones into the pot to boil the water. So so the masculine, that's the feminine. So the feminine is kind of going back to primitive ways of how she dealt with things, and her own way, natural ways of dealing with life. And then the King of Swords is the masculine here, and he's kind of is the Titanic is behind him. Interesting. Oh, there's a samurai sword in the background. So he's got like a library of encyclopedias. He's got the globe. He's got a crystal ball, encyclopedia, a samurai sword. I don't know if it's a samurai sword. It looks like one to me. He's got a sword and a Titanic ship. And he's got special goggles for reading. So he's looking at things with scrutinizing everything. He's like scrutinizing the details. He's thinking ahead. He's like planning. He's strategizing. And the last card here is the Seer. So that's like the High Priestess, but in the primitive deck. So that's it. I don't know if they come up properly. Um, so just there's another echo of the kind of throwing the stones in the water here, and there's a little labyrinth down here, and it's like primitive ways versus dealing with things versus the kind of patriarchal way of dealing with things, you know. So she's kind of going back to primitive nature, and the devil is the last card. So this kind of says to me that the more the feminine goes into the feminine, the more threatened the masculine feels. The more threatened the masculine feels by it. So, or maybe he feels he has to be more productive, make more money, or do something because he's submitting to this character here, and they're working in a forge and they're filling coal into the flames in a furnace. So it's like he's trying to compete with something. So like he's under pressure, and the more the feminine heals, the more under pressure he is to produce. So I'm gonna get a couple of cards on this devil card here at the last. It's like the feminine is becoming more primitive in her normal ways of dealing with things, and her ways of dealing with trauma or whatever. But the more she does that, the more threatened he feels. There's the Seven of Cups, which is confusion. Like he's 7 paths he could take and he can't figure out which one to. Then he has the Six of Wands. Six of Wands, and that's like victorious, having people admire you and celebrate you. And there's a union here of electricity and a laurel leaf, so like there's a kind of merging of nature and electricity here. It makes me think of kind of plasma as well. And then we have the Hermit. So like, I don't think this is specific to the masculine, because I have experiencing something similar myself, like not knowing what you want and wondering if what you originally wanted is what you want. I've wanted this thing my whole life, since the beginning, since I've ever understood. You think you want something for so long, and suddenly it's kind of, you're at the precipice of it, and you're kind of doubting whether you want it or not. You're like, do I really want this? So I think both the twins are asking themselves this. So even though there's like a victory coming in the present for both twins, there's also a period of hermitage. And here we have London, the London Tower of London, and all those clock parts. So there is a reference to London made there. Go to London. I probably have a couple of reasons to go to London, I'm not sure. It's like, I think what it is when you're winning, when you start winning in life, it's the beginning of the end, I think. When you're kind of middle-aged and you're, when people start doing what you say and responding to what you say, like, it's only downhill from now on, People finally starting to listen to you, that's when the winds start starting to turn, So, so I think that's what's happening here, is like, as the masculine is getting more productive and more powerful, inverted commas, like the more he's becoming reclusive and starting to see how it'll all collapse again, you know, as everything comes and goes. So, you know, what goes up must come down. So it's like as you become to get more powerful, it's actually like the beginning of the end for, you know, in terms of the cycles of life and stuff. Ah, God. So stop it. No, I said no. So I think I don't see kind of a conclusive feeling about this. I just want to see, well, let's say pull 3 cards of the feminine for the last card. So exploitation, the Tower, and the Green Man. This is kind of similar feelings here, like exploitation. I think that's like COVID and the restrictions and people feeling isolated and stuff. But also, I think the feminine feeling exploited. And then the Blasted Tower. Why did the Blasted Tower? And then the Green Man. So it's like someone is falling from their perch. Oh, I know what it is. It's the exploitation gets recognized. It's like justice. The exploitation gets recognized. The exploitation that the feminine has been through gets recognized. And whoever is gaining from it will be blasted from the great oak, the blasted oak. So I'm getting I'm just getting resonance with my own with my own connections to karmic and recent past. And so anyone who gained from the exploiting the feminine is going to be blasted out. So anyone who's gained from exploiting the feminine throughout her whole life, or anyone who's at the pinnacle of it, is going to be found out. And then we have the Green Man. The Green Man is like so this is like the Green Man will be reestablished. So nature and patriarchy will merge again. The value of nature will merge once more. So like patriarchy won't get so destructive that we'll have to blast them out of the oak. It won't get so high up, or you know, that high up and corrupt that it will have the power to exploit someone for a whole lifetimes, whole generation, 2 generations we see here. Leaving, it's like their honeybees have been burnt out of the nests, you know. So the bees have been burnt out of their nests and they've no income, they've no produce. So with these fires, so like there's a culprit involved, like it was deliberate, and it's like the nature in man, the truth of nature in man will surface and become not, I don't want to say powerful, but will thrive again, you know. Will be recognized for their integrity, and those who were gained from the exploitation of others will be will like thrown to their death, but you know, they will be highlighted and shown, not exploited, but they will be highlighted for their, you know, exploiting others and gaining from others. And the Green Man will relive, you know, in the same way that the Hierophant. It's like the scholar in patriarchy is the Green Man in kind of the nature world, you know. It's like they're the same, you know, and it's like the feminine and the masculine are coming to an understanding of both worlds, the value of both worlds. and how necessary the both worlds are. Like the patriarchal structures, and we hate them, we do, but there is value to them. And you know, it's just whoever is going to be exploited. It's like these cards are almost the exact same, the Devil and the Six of Stones. It's like exploitation. And then it's like the Green Man and the Scholar will become triumphant, you know, or they will merge into one. That there won't be this separation of psychic kind of separation. So I think it's like just to get to this stage would be a relief. Just to get to the stage where both systems aren't working against each other so you know, horrifically. It would be a relief just to get to the stage, and that would be progress for the twins, you know. And it would, I think it would be the only legitimate stepping stone towards union that would function. So there, I think that's okay. Hang on, I do have one more thing. I'm just going to pick one more card as the outcome, one from each deck. So this is the masculine, and that's the King of Wands, and this is the feminine. So the Ten of Arrows instruction. I'm going to switch those sides. So so this is about the divine feminine accepting instruction, accepting advice, and understanding when it's exploitative and when it's beneficial. And that's literally a narrow line, thin line. So when is it instruction and when is it exploitation? So it's just that fine line that you have to walk to gain ground in this reality. And I'm actually going to pull a few from this. Ten of Arrows instruction. So it's kind of a relief to see this come out, actually, because I think maybe in kind of proving, I think the feminine improving, both twins improving their worth have kind of contradicted their own realities. So so this is kind of going back to the teacher and the student, and the teacher and the student, and the value of that relationship. What keeps it together, you know, and in times of when it's difficult, what keeps it together, and you know, what drives it apart, and valuing the journey as a whole. So let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna pick 3 cards from the twins deck. Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna keep shuffling until they stop jumping. What's this? Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Four of Pentacles. So, Wheel of Fortune is changes in fortune. Changes in fortune. And then the Four of Pentacles is holding your own, like minding the castle, you know. And sometimes that's all you have to do for the wheel to move. It's just mind the castle. So here we go, is the Chariot. So minding the castle to move forward. Minding your position. Minding your position. Holding what you value. Holding what you value. Ace of Pentacles. Holding what you value. No, I'll take this one. 5 of Swords. 6 of Swords. 6 of Wands. And the Ace of Cups. Oh, cute. So the Ace of Pentacles, the 5 of Swords, the 6 of Wands. It's like someone found out that you're going to get your Ace of Pentacles, right? And they all started getting catty and shitty. There's the Hermit. They're catty and shitty and mean and fighting. And then you have the 6 of Wands, so you win the battle. You win the conflict. And so you got the money, and you got the victory, and you got the love. This is like the union, the Ace of Cups. So I think that pretty much completes the read. I think there's kind of deep healing going on at the moment, for both twins. And there's also a kind of learning curve happening for both twins. And there's a kind of a merging with their reality in a way that's really healthy, in a way that's never been before. And so that's my reading for today. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk again soon. Namaste.